Today we've got a great revenge story that takes place in a game of basketball. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, forgetting customer names. I recently started doing this to entitled customers who berate me over the phone and who don't seem to understand that their little piddly-butt orders don't make them king of the world. Whenever they call and ask for the status of their orders or tell me they need to speak to my boss, I go, "Sure, let me look into that," or "Yes, let me see if he's available," and end the sentence with, "I'm sorry, but may I ask who I'm speaking with?" For some reason, that drives them up the freaking walls. One customer went, "How can you not know who I am by now?" And I just replied, "I'm sorry about that, sir. I deal with a lot of customers on a daily basis. Guess this makes them feel as though they're not important." Most of those people that are calling and complaining like that and treating the customer service reps like that are the prime people to go, "Do you know who I am?" Actually, no, so why don't you tell me and we can get this solved? Hadrian Gates wrote, "Even when I call my car repair place, who I've been going to for over 20 years, and I recognize the voices of whoever answers, I always say my name." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy awesome stories of revenge, it would be amazing if you left a like or left a review if you're listening to my podcast. That said, our next story is, Neighbor is a complete jerk to me and his own family, so I do little annoying things. First, he yells at his family, screams and throws stuff, threatens his 4-year-old daughter who yells back. He's not hit them as far as I know. He does work outside on gym equipment that's not meant to be outside. It's rusting. When I see him out there, he does sexual gestures and motions and smirks at me. I avoid being visible to him just because of it. He has his friends over to watch football, and because the driveway is steep, his friends park outside his house and block us in. So I went out there with seed and threw it all over his friends' cars. I'm in Australia, and a lot of cockatoos and galahs come and crap where they eat. He drinks and has his music playing till 3 a.m. So while they have their hangover morning, wife and kids aren't home, at 6 a.m. I point my speakers at his house and turn on the high-pitched dog whistle app just enough to hear it. I hear them yelling, "What's that ringing noise, freak?" They start screaming and leave with their crap-covered cars. I imagine this must be what it feels like to live decently close to a college campus, where chances are one of your neighbors might be the party house for that semester. Exquisite Boobs wrote, "A super soaker filled with salt water will help with speeding up rust on his gym equipment. The speaker noise is pure genius though." Our next story is, I have nothing but my imagination. Thief can't steal that. I was tormented in middle school. I was also a foster child with nothing. After Christmas break, I was back at school and wearing a new pair of Jordache jeans. Aging myself, I'd gotten from the foster family. They were really popular at the time. During gym, they came up missing. I went to Lost and Found. Surprisingly, they were there. This 4-foot, 10-inch demon started telling everyone they were hers and that I stole them. I wasn't much taller. It was the end of the day and I just took them and went home. For the next few months, if she saw something I had, which really was nothing, she would take it. The worst was a NASA keychain my previous foster family had given me. The dad was in the Navy and passed away. I wasn't popular, pretty, nor rich. What I did have was an insane imagination. I wrote a 3-page steamy for a tween anyway, love letter. It was between two fake people, Jack and Diane, but it kept referencing the mini demon. Jack said, "You're so beautiful." Diane said, "Nuh-uh. Am I prettier than Mini Demon?" Jack said, "Ew, gross. She's the ugliest girl in the school." Diane says, "Did you hear she's cheating on her boyfriend with her BFF's boyfriend?" Jack said, "Yeah, everyone knows but him, haha," etc. On and on for 3 pages. She was in a class with me and I found the note on the floor and began reading and giggling. She snatched it out of my hand and started reading it. It didn't stop her from being mini demon mean to me, but she was more focused on that note then, and I went to a new foster family soon after anyway. OP's out here self-admittedly not one of the popular people, and they're still having somebody with ridiculous jealousy issues trying to steal from them and kind of be OP. All I can really say is bullies just suck, man. Glittering Code 4311 wrote, "I hate bullies, glad you got some revenge. I don't understand why schools allow this to continue. I was mercilessly beaten in grade school by a certain few, and nothing ever happened to them. Broken fingers, bloody nose, bruises. It continued until the day one ran at me, and I grabbed their outstretched arm and somehow leveraged them right into the metal school doors. Last time I was attacked, and last year in that heck hole, Used to walk home 3 miles rather than take the bus and be tortured longer. I crossed 3 major roadways. They never told my parents. Our next story is embarrassing toxic boss in front of his employees and executives. So this is a story about unintentional but satisfying petty revenge. A while ago, I worked in the Information Services department for a fairly large company. My boss at the time was a typical toxic middle manager. He would take credit for his employees' successes and blame them and even write them up for his own incompetence. The director of another department was dissatisfied with the support of the IS department in general, due to my boss, but fortunately liked me in particular, so she worked out a deal where I would work directly for her. I was so grateful as she was smart and competent. There were conditions, like I'd have to run certain things past old boss before I did something, but there was an exception where new boss could tell me to do something if she deemed it urgent or important, and then I would inform old boss after the fact. Well, one day I was on a conference call with old boss, his team or victims, his boss, a VP, and new boss. New boss said she urgently needed something done. Well, old boss always said something would take 2 weeks when he had no idea how long it would actually take. So he said it would take 2 weeks. New boss didn't like that answer, so during the call, new boss messaged me and asked how long it would take me to do it. I replied that it was a simple database update that would literally take me 30 seconds. She replied, "Do it." So I ran the SQL update statement. Everyone was still discussing the issue when I interrupted that I'd already fixed the issue. Old boss said, obviously irritated, "Why did you ask me how long it would take if you've already done it?" I said, "I hadn't already done it. I did it just now. It took 30 seconds. He just mumbled something and we went on with the call. No one clapped, and I wish I could say he was fired soon after, but he lasted a long time with the company. But as I passed my former coworkers in the hall after the call, I got a few thumbs up and big smiles, and he never advanced beyond middle management. I guess maybe it's overstepping your responsibilities or your boundaries to try to report somebody like that and, kind of point out how they had no idea how any of this worked and just gave a blanket 2-week statement. I mean, he doesn't even understand the basic good boss principle of deferring to people who would know the answer to the job. Him just going, 2 weeks. Imagine how much more a boss would be appreciated overall in general if they were able to survey their table or the people there. Does anybody here have more experience and know how long that would take? Then OP would be able to say, "I can do it faster than you can get a glass of water and get back to the meeting." Coder Joe 1 wrote, "There's 2 kinds of IT problems. The kind that take 5 minutes and the kind that should have only taken 5 minutes. Glad you found the exception." Our next story is called the IRS on my greedy jerk uncle. Context: I live in a third world country in a patriarchal society. I'm an 18-year-old male, and I called my uncle out on him being exploitative and greedy towards my mother/his sister. When we were alone, he threatened and hit me for disrespect, and knowing I can't beat him physically, as he's 190 centimeters, 110 kilograms, whilst I'm 180 centimeters, 60 kilograms, I sent an anonymous message to a neighbor that we know is a huge snitch and works with the IRS, and informed her that he's been paying bribes to get to pay less taxes overall. I've now heard that he's under investigation. It will probably end with him paying either much more bribes or a bit of jail time, and that's good enough for me, as I can't do something instant since it'll be too obvious that it's my doing. I plan to keep inconveniencing him and potentially cutting him off, although everyone's ingraining in me that it's never ever right to cut off family ties. It's never ever right to cut off family ties? I mean, you can still see him in prison, right? You still got your family ties, even if one half of it's behind bars and you gotta see it through a plate glass window. Sleepy John 00 wrote, "He doesn't sound like he's too concerned about family ties running in the other direction." OP responded saying, "He believes that he'll end up alone and jokes that he's saving up money because his kids won't bother to look at him in his old age. So yes, he doesn't care." Our next story is, think you can bully kids, Karen? This just happened today and I can't believe I witnessed this. My husband, kids, and I are at a really nice hotel. My family, along with a few other families, were enjoying the pool, hot tub, and separate water slide. Everyone was really well behaved. No kids screaming or acting rowdy. 2 boys, around 8 or 9 years old, decide to step into the hot tub. There was no one in there and they were being careful and taking their time to get in. Then came Karen, who had been drying off and putting on her robe. Karen's about 65 to 70 years old, short gray hair, tall and thin. Karen goes up to the one boy and starts telling him off and demands that he gets out right away. I didn't hear everything she was saying at first, but it caught my attention when she was wagging a finger at the poor boy who'd been minding his own business. It was when I heard her tell him to get out that I looked at my husband across the pool. Without a word exchanged between us, we started heading towards the stairs that exit the pool. As we're moving, Karen starts in on the other boy who was just sitting on the side with his feet in. Boy leaves, obviously upset, and heads to his mom. Karen moves back to her seat beside the pool and continues to dry off with a smug look on her ugly face. She didn't even want to use the hot tub. Cue pettiness. Without even talking to each other, a bunch of us adults yell out for our kids and we filled the hot tub, including inviting the boys she just bullied back into the hot tub with us. In fact, there were more kids than adults. The adults stared at Karen and basically dared her to say anything. She got really uncomfortable and grabbed her stuff and her husband and left. If they were being rowdy or unsafe, then I can understand wanting to step in, but she was just being nasty to kids for no reason. I got to talk to their mom and them. They were just really sweet boys trying to enjoy their vacation. I'm glad we got them some hot tub time. A great comment I absolutely agree with was written by Severs 2016. Way I see it, in this situation, I would want my son to say two things. You're not my parent, get lost, and if she persists, loudly, and in as much of a scared voice as possible, help! I need an adult! Stranger danger, help! Wifer 2016 added, my parents adopted my kid sis when I was 17, so I had a big part in teaching her things. I never agreed with stranger danger as it taught kids to fear all adults, even those who could help them. So I taught sis to bellow, this person is not my mummy or daddy at the top of her little lungs. One day we were at the local mall and an old man walked up to 4-year-old sis, leaned over and managed to say hello before sis took a deep breath, glared at him and roared, this man is not my daddy, right in his face. Old guy was stunned and scuttled away. I was so proud I bought sis a donut. Our next story is buy one, get one free. Every time I went to McDonald's, they would push doing a survey and get a free burger when you buy one, so I decided to do it. I came back with my code and made my order. I always get the Quarter Pounder Deluxe, $7. I also got my grandson a regular hamburger. I got charged full price for my 2 Quarter Pounders and got a $2 burger free. I was ticked. They said they always comped the cheapest one. From then on, I always came in with a code and I always made 2 orders. I would get 2 Quarter Pounders Deluxe and get my free one, then I would order for everyone. In a few months, I'd gained about 50 pounds and spent 30% more money. That'll show those idiots. That last sentence felt a little too real. Anybody that's gone to McDonald's recently can totally sympathize with the fact that everything is so darn expensive. I'm a sucker for a McDonald's hash brown, and finding out that the average price of one is $3, it kind of breaks my brain and my wallet for a bit. A poster wrote, they used to let you chain those. I bought 1 Quarter Pounder with cheese and got unlimited free ones off of the surveys. This was about 20 years ago, but I ate free Quarter Pounders every day for months. Our next story is, screw me over as a middle schooler, I'll get you as an adult. This took place over 45 years ago when I, 12-year-old male, at the time had just started middle school. We live in a small town and most of my friends were my cousins. During the first week of school, I discovered I had class with a really cute girl who had big blue eyes and dark hair. I told my cousin, 13-year-old male, that I had a crush on her and was trying to find a way to talk with her. I was very shy at that age. The next day, I see my cousin talking to the girl in the hallway and comes up to me and tells me that they're now boyfriend and girlfriend because he's asked to go study with him that morning. I'm really hurt that my cousin and close friend would betray me like that, but I didn't say anything. I just tucked it away knowing my chance for revenge would someday arrive. 9 years later, I'm now 21 years old. My cousin comes over and says he wants me to go to the local skating rink with him. I'm not interested because we haven't gone there since our early teens and that's still the age of the crowd that hangs out there. He persists and I finally agree to go. We arrive and I quickly discover the reason he wants to go is the cute 19-year-old blonde who's working there, and he wants to chat her up and ask her out. We leave after an hour or so and he hasn't asked her out yet. To be fair, I give him a couple of days and he still hasn't called her, so cue petty revenge. I call her up and we agree to go on a date. We go out casually about once a week for about a month, and one evening when I pick her up, she tells me that my cousin called her that day and asked her out. She told him that she couldn't go with him because she was already dating his cousin, me. I run into my cousin a couple of days later and he awkwardly asks me if I was already dating the girl when we went to the skating rink. I just say, no, and walk away. The look on his face was worth the 9 years I waited to get my revenge. The girl and I continued to date for a few more weeks, but there just wasn't much chemistry between us, and we jointly agreed to break it off. This story is kind of just like the epitome of shoot your shot, take your shot, or potentially lose it forever. Tax Immediate 2684 wrote, no one else have an issue with the woman being used as a device to get back at his cousin rather than as a fellow human being? Our next story is, hello Phil? I'm not Phil. This was about 20 years ago, but it still makes me smile when I think about it. Someone started calling my phone and asking for Phil in a strong Scottish accent. It definitely wasn't anyone I know playing a prank. At first I'd just say I wasn't Phil, wrong number, he'd make a weird scoffing noise and hang up. This only happened once every few weeks, but eventually it got annoying. He'd even leave work-related voicemail for Phil, but it was mostly calls which went, hello, Phil? Wrong number, scoff, hang up. I sent text messages asking him to change his saved number, which were ignored, and 20 years ago it was hard to block people manually. One day he called me, obviously in a bit of panic and obviously outdoors. Hello, Phil? The meeting has been moved up from 4 p.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow. Can you still make it? Yep. Are you definitely sure? Yep. Great, see you tomorrow. I never heard from him again. I mean, it kind of sucks that it has to get to that point, but sometimes you've gotta do ridiculous stuff like that for them to finally get it through their thick skull that maybe they should change the number instead of keeping on making the same mistake. Honestly, if they made that mistake that many times, they kind of deserved it. Rusty0123 wrote, this is my strangest, most bizarre wrong number story. I was a young, single female living on my own in a new, rather large city. Occasionally, I would get one of those phone calls, so if I answered the phone and didn't recognize the voice, I was pretty quick to hang up. One night at about 3 a.m., the phone woke me up. I was ticked, decided I had no time for this, but I finally picked up about the 5th ring just so I could curse at them. I screamed, "What?" into the phone. Total silence for a beat. Then this very uncomfortable guy says, "Is Dave there?" Now I'm completely ashamed of myself, so I mumble, "Wrong number," and start to hang up. I hear this guy say, wait, don't hang up. Please don't hang up. So I say, yeah? And the guy says, I'm sorry, but this is my only quarter. Everything is closed and I can't get any more change. So now I'm thinking this is some drunk guy whose friends have ditched him and he can't get a ride home. But he tells me he just arrived on a bus and they just dumped all the passengers at the closed station. He can't find anything open. It's a sketchy area, and his friend Dave is supposed to come pick him up when he called, but it took him forever to find a phone and he just used his only quarter. He asks me if I'll call Dave for him and give him the number of the payphone. I reluctantly agree, hang up the phone, and stare at it for about 10 minutes, wondering if I really want to call some stranger in the middle of the night. Is this some kind of scam or prank? Am I going to regret this? But I call. Immediately, this guy picks up and says, "Tom, are you here? Where do I pick you up?" I explain the situation, he thanks me profusely, and I guess I did my good deed for the day, or night. Our next story is, did you need those boarding passes? I'm sitting in crappy seat on board while waiting out a delay and giggling to myself about an incident earlier going through TSA. After going through TSA, a family of many grabbed all their bags out of what was 6 or 7 bins and went on their merry way without bothering to return them to the stack. The only way my bag was fully exiting the tunnel was to put them away. Piling them up in their proper location, I noticed someone forgot all their paper boarding passes in one of them. I fetched my bag and headed to the gate and passed Dad hustling back to TSA, presumably to fetch the boarding passes. Oops, they're now on their way back to the entrance of the pre-check security lane. I hope he was able to find an elusive kiosk to print new ones, and that they learned that it's best not to walk away from your bin without putting it where it belongs and double-checking you have everything. Absolutely deserved, but you just know the lesson he learned here is not that he's going to put that away next time, it's just that he's going to double check that he has everything. Beck is not Becky wrote, this reminds me of the time getting off a flight when a man made a huge huff. Oh my god, come on. About my older father stopping in the aisle for a final check of the seat back pockets. I told him, thanks so much for your patience, he just wants to make sure we have everything. and he seemed shocked I said something but didn't apologize. Made a big deal of passing us once we were off the plane. Halfway to the customs area, I saw the man and his family freaking out and having to run back to the plane because they'd left passports behind. Hope you'll be more careful in the future. Our next story is, cat ticked on me, I ticked right back. Not my story, but that of an old college friend who told it to anyone who'd listen. His girlfriend blogged about it. He actually became a bit of a legend in some circles. Small circles, but still. Anyway, Jack moved in with his girlfriend, Jill. Jill had a cat, Pierre. Pierre didn't take kindly to sharing his home, not to mention his mistress with another male. This was Pierre's territory, by golly. He decided to wage war and get rid of the usurper forever. Pierre's reign of terror began with hissing, escalating to random late-night ambushes and climaxing with Pierre doing what Pierre did best. All over Jack's laundry, his book bag, his shoes, his leg. It happened in the middle of the night when Jack stumbled to the bathroom after a couple too many beers earlier. He was pretty bleary-eyed, but there was just enough light to see. With quickly rising horror, Pierre backing his butt up to Jack's calf, his tail held high and quivering as it only does when a male is about to spray the foulest stench imaginable onto its target. After spending the afternoon washing yet another batch of pee laundry and the evening grumbling about it to his buds over some buds, Jack reacted on instinct. He insists he didn't consciously think about what he was doing. He just turned and ticked on the cat. Pierre immediately conceded defeat and bolted from the bathroom, never to challenge the honor of the alpha of the house again. And so the war of Jill's main men ended with the pettiest of revenges, a literal peeing match. At least it was that and they didn't go full Shane Dawson on that cat. Too far? Church of Freeman wrote, I once ticked on a couple of dogs that scared me, barking at me and lunging to the fence of their house while I was walking by on the sidewalk. I was also pretty drunk. The look on their faces was of pure astonishment. Our next story is dumped water on neighbor's dogs. I'm at an apartment complex with dog doors leading to the porch. My neighbor's dogs often try and attack me through the fence when I walk past. Today I was bringing in jugs of water from work and I saw them outside, so I unscrewed the lids, a jug in each hand. I approached and they started to bark and growl at me. I dumped the first jug all over the little brown dog. He was in total shock. The bigger black dog came charging to his rescue and I dumped the second jug on him. He retreated and shook off and tried to charge again, so I dumped more water on his head. They both went inside wet. I feel both good and bad. What do you think? Do they deserve it again, or am I silly? Now, I wonder if the dogs are actually aggressive, or if they're just barrier reactive, which is a very actually common thing where if dogs are behind a fence and there's a stimuli on the other side, they will tend to act out, sometimes solely because they just want to go say hi so badly. That said, at the end of the day, if it stops the dogs from attacking you, and the worst is they got wet, I'm not advertising going and dumping gallons of water on your neighbor's dog regularly as a pastime, but I'd walk away from it not feeling too bad. I mean, you didn't harm them. Happy Sparkly Unicorn wrote, one neighbor had 2 dogs, but people couldn't even go into their own backyards without one of them barking her head off about it. Another neighbor got fed up and sprayed her with a hose every time she started barking at them. Doesn't hurt them, but she did get the message and stopped barking at that house, so their people could at least go hang out their washing in peace. The dog mellowed out a bit as she got older, thankfully. Open Preparation 268 added, we moved into a new house. Our dog didn't normally bark at everything unless it entered our yard. But new place and all, she kept barking at our new neighbor when he was in his backyard. He related his story to me a few months later, but for a little understanding, you should know that our dog was a golden retriever black lab mix. Anyway, he's watering his garden and our girl started barking at him. He squirted her with the hose. She just started trying to catch the stream. It became a game with them. What really ended the barking though was that he started bringing out a treat for her too. He would make her sit and then toss her the treat. They got to be buddies. Our next story is, basketball player tried a petty trick on me. I did it back to him and won the game. This is during a pickup basketball game at a local gym. Anyone who plays knows of someone like this. For context, pickup games are very different from any league in the way that the opposing teams do not have matching uniforms. We're all just wearing whatever we wore to the gym that day. There are no referees or scoreboards. The players themselves all have to collectively agree on the rules and score. Now, when you get into one of these games, often you've just met some, if not most of the players on the court with you. There's no real way to remember who's on your team once the game gets going, but you figure it out soon enough. Back to tonight. Usually I play with familiar faces, but tonight a lot of people showed up I've never seen here before. No problem, we quickly formed teams and got the game on the way. Now, there is a semi-unethical trick you can do in these types of situations where it's not clear who's on whose team. For example, if you're not on my team and you have the ball, I can yell at you something like, "Pass it here!" and the opposing player will mistakenly pass me the ball since they're still unsure of who all their teammates are. There are no rules against this. Usually your own teammates will be annoyed at you for your lack of self-awareness. I've never used this trick and tend to look down on those who do as cheating, although I would never call someone out or stop the game to address this. Basically, don't be dumb enough to fall for it. Anyways, this guy on the other team tonight tried this multiple times with myself and my teammates to no avail. Eventually he stopped once he saw it wasn't working, but it still annoyed me. I encountered this often when I was a teenager, but now that I'm in my 30s and playing with grown adults, I have even less tolerance for this. The game goes on and both teams even score where it becomes next point wins. Now Mr. Trickster has the ball and it looks as he'll single-handedly try to win the game for his team. Unfortunately for him, he made a poor choice of movement and ends up stuck in a corner with two of my teammates surrounding him, looking to steal the ball away. In his desperation to get the ball to an open teammate, he turns his head in my direction as I'm running towards him. As soon as I see his face, I yell, "Right here!" And without a thought, he tosses the ball right into my hands. Since nobody was expecting this, there's no defense on our side of the court, and I get an easy layup to win the game. I wish I'd gotten a better reaction out of him from this, but he was a good sport and high-fived everyone like we all do at the conclusion of a game. But I was sure glad to give him a taste of his own medicine. Like I said, I usually don't like this trick, but have decided tonight going forward, I'll only use it if it's used against me first. First of all, let me just say I love me some basketball. That said, if you get into a pickup game and somebody's trying the trick of pass it here, I feel like if you fall for it, legitimately, that's your own fault. I know it's difficult in a pickup game with a bunch of guys you may not know all that well to remember all the people on your team, but it's still on you for falling for that. I mean, I'm going into it with the idea that there's going to be some kind of lighthearted trash talk, some lighthearted gamesmanship. The real problem is the guys who take it way too seriously, or the fools who want to play the hero and try to take every single shot. Meanwhile, their jump shot looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Along Came Polly. Carbar 1973 wrote, "All's fair. Way back in the day, you had pickup games all evening. You might have Joe on your team in the first matchup, and then a couple of games later, he's an opponent. Some players use the phrase long after a defensive rebound to start the fast break, but it was often used by the other teams. Not a big deal and only worked in a real heated and evenly matched game." Our next story is Robocallers. You want fries with that? For some reason, probably because I put my phone number on the do not call registry when it was created, I get about 12 spam calls a day. It's a landline phone. The main reason I still have it is for backup, as cell service does go down and I hate to give out my cell. So I tried the usual stuff, waste their time, play into it, put them on hold for 10 minutes, etc. Now I just have fun. Every time I met with silence and then the bloop of being connected, I put on the performance of a phone call. In my best over-the-top ethnic voice, I make up a restaurant and ask them what they want. Broken English, you name it. Stop wasting my time, order or stop calling. Most just apologize and hang up. The best one that really gets them is, "Beef bar, we turn holy cow into amazing beef." I really set someone off with this one. Now, to be fair, was it effective? Absolutely. Did it have to go broken English ethnic? I don't think so. I mean, if the person connected through and it's like, "Thanks for calling Pizza Hut, this is Dave, we've got a huge special on jumbo sausage, can I take your order?" And then you get angry if they don't just order or hang up, I think it would have worked just as well. DBY0226 wrote, "We still have a landline, but I put it on one ring for the answering machine to answer. The outgoing message says, 'We're not answering the phone because of robo and spam calls, but we'll return your call if you leave a message.' Rarely is a message left, and we still have our non-digital phone. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another awesome revenge story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.